Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. Alrighty, ready? Ah, shit, what was my word? Fuck, I had one. All right. Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your bizarre host, Jesse Gender, and I'm joined as always by. Thank you for. I'm gonna credit Arsenal in the comments because I had the comments pulled up and they were talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so that's the word I pulled.
It's Vera. Hey everybody. I am also bizarre, depending on who you ask. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, this weekend I didn't really do much. I got to watch a friend did a script reading of his script, so I watched that. That was kind of fun. And then I just been working on my own script for that Mark Duplass grant because I'm submitting to that. So that's basically been my whole weekend. So
fingers crossed on that. It's a good script.
Thank you. We were just talking about it before we started recording, listeners. It's hopefully it should be fun.
I give good notes.
You do give good notes.
Mind if I vent about something that I've already vented about a few places, but I want to keep doing it?
Yes, I mind heavily. I'll be very offended if you do. So yeah, let's just get into the episode. All right.
Tough shit. I add it. So, in case anybody missed the several other places I said this, fuck the Vermont Burlesque Festival. Fuck it straight into the ground.
I did see this. Yeah, I did see this online.
So, to be clear, folks, this is not a personal beef. Vermont Burlesque Festival has been around for over a decade. I have performed in it most of the years it has gone on. It has a number of problems that have been around for a while and have gotten worse. And then it has gotten a number of new problems lately. And it is at a point where anyone who is a performer who finds themselves inclined to want to participate, I encourage you to not. And anyone who thinks they might want to go to it, I'm going to encourage you to not. I'll bullet point it so I'm not eating up a shit ton of time, but here we go. Existing problems that have gotten worse. The sidelining of local performers in favor of out-of-towners. The festival will claim that they put local talent on stage and neglect to mention that on stage often means just being stage cats and handling the set changes. Or they will get a troupe to do a big group number, but that's the only thing they'll give them. So they'll have a ton of Vermont performers doing one freaking number.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes of the show. Yeah.
And when they do have Vermont performers, it is usually only one group number on the main stage, and all other Vermont performers are relegated to side shows and smaller venues. So there's that. Body variety has been getting worse. It has been increasingly... skinny cis people are a higher and higher percentage, and despite Vermont not being the most diverse state in the country, I'm aware of that, we have a shockingly diverse burlesque community in this state. So again, not representative of the state and just bad as a look. The one that personally got me to actually write them off last year, there was a host from New York who I haven't named in other places. I'm going to now because fuck this guy. Guy goes by the name of Sir Richard Castle. He's a producer and host out of New York City. I don't know how his New York show is. Maybe it's good. I don't care. The first time he came up to Vermont, he hosted the main stage show, and he was terrible. He was terrible across the board. He was inappropriate to the performers. He was inappropriate to the audience. He brought audience members up on stage, proceeded to touch them without acquiring consent to do so. Not in an overtly sexual manner, but he did not get consent to touch anybody. The audience actually shouted at him about that. He would step on performers' final moments, because generally burlesque numbers end with a moment and then they soak up the applause. Before the applause had even peaked, he would rush back out on stage, not to go keep it going for the performer, but to take the attention back onto him fucking self. And this guy was so bad, he was actively booed by the audience. And that's not a story. I was there when that happened.
And they still are having him come back this year?
They already brought him back a second time earlier this year. The upcoming festival is January of next year. So he's already been brought back once from that. And regardless of whether or not you think this guy's offensive, regardless of whether or not you think he's an asshole, regardless if you think I'm wrong, he is undeniably a horrible fit for this area and this community and this audience. And they brought him back anyways. I don't know if they're bringing him back again for the upcoming one. I don't care. There's the fact that it's actually disingenuous to even call it a festival at this point, because they have no more access to venues in Burlington, because the last time they were here, they slagged off the city of Burlington and bitched and moaned. So they can't get a venue in Burlington. And now, instead of a weekend of stuff, which would actually make it a festival, it's now one fucking show at the Barrie Opera House. And yet, they are still requiring people who want to perform to pay an application fee like you would do if it was a full weekend festival of events. Now it's just one goddamn show, and they're using AI to promote the fucking thing.
Of course they are. I mean, that's to say, I could talk about that in the Star Trek community. This might get me in trouble, but like not in trouble. I don't have any association with them. But the fucking people who run the now unofficial Star Trek convention in Las Vegas and a few other places keep using fucking AI to promote their shit, which pisses me the fuck off. And they just also upped their prices this year to like $400 per ticket, which is not what it used to be. It used to be like 200 something. It's like almost double.
Screw all that. Oh, and to be clear, while I say very with my whole chest, fuck Richard Castle, don't go and harass him on my behalf. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to say it to his literal face, I would. I'm happy to just throw it out there and make sure it's heard.
Fair. Well, it sounds like that festival's a piece of shit. So
yeah, it had, and like frustratingly, it's been run by the same people the whole time, and it's just steadily gotten worse. It's screw the entire thing. Find the actual local things put on by the local troops, because he actually can't really get any of the troops to do group numbers anymore because none of them will work with the fucking festival. That was the case last year too, or like this year with the last one too. Yeah. Sounds
like they need to down their burdens part 2. It works better now. Because we're talking about the comments on the episode Lay Down Your Burdens part 2. So first comment is from Style for Alley. Says the 1 year jump solves a problem that Stephen King talks about in relation to The Stand. Basically, the story of the apocalypse and its immediate aftermath is compelling, but the second they get to Colorado and start rebuilding society, things grind to a halt. The only way you could solve it was, and spoilers for The Stand here, everybody, to literally blow up half the characters. The jump lets us see immediately that Baltar has led humanity to a dead end. They can't rebuild, but they also can't simply leave. The silent occupation might be the strongest arc of the series, and I can't wait to hear your reactions. So, yeah. So, interesting. We also have one from 255 AD that says, do you think this episode could be read as arguing neoliberal technocracy? I can never say that word. Techno, because it says like technocracy, but it's technocracy?
Technocracy.
Yes. Neoliberal technocracy is preferable to populism because the public needed to be protected from their own poor judgment. I think you could read it that way. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think the technocracy part of it, because Baltar sort of represents that side of it, really. But the neoliberal, like, oh, we need to do, we are the elites. We should form a sort of electoral college to keep the smart people from, keep the dumb people from getting to pick the leader, sort of vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see it being that way. I don't think that was the intent, but you could definitely read it that way. So. Yeah. And then, which is again why I'm an anarchist, because anarchism means only self-interested groups that are directly involved in the things being discussed get to, have a vote in it. We also have, I don't remember Chuck being saved by Subway, but Community sort of was, which I do remember because Community was saved by that. And then there was 2 more here. Romler says, you say Chief sounds like Karl Marx, but that speech is actually taken from a video of Mario Savio at Berkeley. Aaron Douglas, who plays the Chief, even studied it repeatedly to make sure every intonation could be as close as possible. And I did, after I read this comment, did go and watch that video. And yeah, it's like very, like almost word for word, like throw yourself on the gears. He was a leftist organizer in like colleges in the like 30s, if I recall, something like that. So, so that was cool. Obviously, that person was pulling from Marx, so like,
Yeah.
there is still a line there, but there was a couple stops along the bus track to get there. Oh, yeah.
So there was a comment by Fuzzy Aziraphale 4228, which was, I wonder what happened with Zarek following the year gap. I would have expected him to be in a prominent role, either as Baltar's vice president or as opposition leader if he'd fallen out with Baltar. And yeah, I am going to say, like, when they get around to addressing Zarek, I really kind of hope they cover what the hell he's been up to, because, like, in my mind, he would not have stood by idle as Baltar ran everything into the ground. Like, yes, Zarek wanted to set up on the planet too just because it was politically expedient, but he also actually wanted things to get better for people, at least as he's been presented so far. So I really, I'm legit curious what the hell he's been up to and whether or not it'll be addressed when he shows back up.
I'm trying to remember here. Yes, it will be. In fact, I'll just say this, because it'll be in like the opening credits. We will see him next episode.
Yay!
So, yeah, he will be around. So yes. There was one more that I wanted to do because it kind of touched upon something that we were discussing. The Bitter Fig says, when it comes to Pegasix, I think it's both. She sets the device off in part to foul the mask of the nebula and get detectable radiation for the Cylons to find them. Well, that beacon and for revenge against the humans. But she could have set a timer on the device and went to a different ship, and she didn't. Because she knows that Baltar did all of this not to help her as an individual sufferer, but because he wants to get into her pants. And she doesn't want that. Not just from the deep trauma of the months of constant abuse on Pegasus, but is she even into men at all? She was seeing... Oh, that's a spoiler. Whoopsies. Sorry. Didn't realize that. Pegasix knows nothing. I'll skip that line. Pegasix knows nothing. Knows that being Baltar's pet in the bed way is going to be its own torture, and now that he has the power of the presidency, that's the only way she can think of to say no. So she fucks him as a distraction as much as anything else, or maybe as a test to see if it was something she could put up with, and it wasn't. So, whoopsies, didn't mean to actually barrel into an almost spoiler there for you, but there you go.
I think there's a little bit of headcanon in there, at least for the bits trying to justify the sex scene. Decent headcanon, like,
I think it works, yeah.
Like, that's a pretty good notion. Be nice if it was on screen in any way, shape, or form, but, you know, props on the headcanon. Nicely done. And
I didn't forget about the spoiler stuff there, but it does just to say that, that makes sense. So, whoopsies. Sorry, Vera. You got a little tease of stuff that'll come. So, it's spoiler for Razor and backstory, so it's not really spoilers ahead of anything. So,
okay.
Well, sorry. Now that I've occupied your mind with spoilers. That was a terrible one, but at least it kind of works. Because we're talking.
No, it didn't.
It's. Let me put it this way: it's in the upper end of my transitions, which is damning with faint praise. I know, but still.
Yeah.
Folk, we're talking about
that's a self-report right there.
Yeah. We're talking about the season 3 premiere episode, Occupation. So let us get into the recap of the episode. We start off with a kind of, again, what Galactica loves to do, which is show like kind of a montage of several different things happening. So I'm just going to kind of break them down into their component parts as we cut through them. But one that we get a brief look at that I'll just touch upon here is during this the flashes that we see. Is we see Adama playing with the little models, the little like raptor models and all of that stuff, and getting angry and smacking it across the table. Someone worked hard on those, Adama. Someone worked very hard on those.
Someone who might not even be on the ship anymore. They might be down on New Caprica.
They might be dead. They might be dead now.
Jeez, dude, show some respect.
Yeah, he worked hard. Or they worked hard. She worked hard. Who knows? Anyways, the other thing I just wanted to mention, I'm just going to put this out up front here. I'm going to say this. Like the music of this opening sequence, and this is the season where the music is going to get much weirder and more overt. Without getting too spoiler on that front, but will become textually relevant. So
I am here for sci-fi music that is that is able to be weird. Like there's a reason that, especially the season 1 and season 2 version of the Farscape opening theme is one of my favorite pieces of sci-fi music because it's so goddamn weird.
What's very, very funny, I was just on our mutual friend Sarah's podcast, Muppets, Sex and Trauma, or something. I forget exactly the order, but that's a
great. Hey, folks, if you have gone through the What the Frau podcast that Jesse and I started this whole thing with when we did Farscape, and you haven't checked out Muppets, Sex and Trauma, you should. It's great.
It's a great podcast. It was a great time. But they had me appear on the series finale of the show before Peacekeeper Wars.
Yeah.
And I jumped in and I was like, I have no idea what the Frel is going on with this fucking thing. I have what's happening here? Scorpius is being shot out with a bomb. They're I had legit forgotten all context for that ending. And I was like, all right, I'll talk about it.
Farscape's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
so,
I forgot, Naranti was the thing. She shows up and offers Crichton drugs at one point, and I'm like, oh, yeah, she was a thing in this show. I forgot her completely.
Unfortunately, for about 80% of her time on the show, it's better to forget her.
Yes.
And she had a couple of bits that kind of worked, but...
Yeah, but I had completely forgotten her. Anyways, it was just very, very funny. So, music, I just wanted to note. I'm not 100% sure, and I tried to find information on this, but I feel like they switched up cameras that they filmed on this season. It feels like between this season and last season, they switched to digital, just because this quality is a little bit higher. There used to be a lot more grain on the image, and this feels like it's shot digitally now. So I'm curious if they did between seasons. I couldn't find information on it, but I'm sure it's somewhere, but it just feels that way to me. And then another thing that I do kind of want to just mention now, instead of having to get into it later, is I do kind of like just the vibe of these episodes in terms of tone, like the political thriller kind of thing that they got going on with the very like kind of 80s, kind of more 70s, like the lights flowing overhead, like 80s sci-fi, like oppressive government sort of thing. So I kind of liked that as just a visual vibe going on. So,
yep.
Also should be noted. Well, I'll say this later. That comes up later. All right. We then cut to one of the first things we see is Ellen is having very aggressive sex, or let me put it this way: Cavill is very aggressively coming with Ellen.
You kind of spoil the lead because we don't know
that
it's
Cavill,
him right away. Because so chronologically, the first thing we see is top down of someone in a prison cell, and it is Ty, and I guessed almost immediately that it was Ty. And then, shot with like this blue filter, we see Ellen riding a guy on the couch, and the blue filter to me said like, oh, flashback, because like the lighting was so different. I thought it was signaling like different point in time. And they actually are kind of clever about this because like the one time early on that they show Cavill's face is like through this warped glass of a vase. So like you see him, but you don't see him well enough to realize who it is, and you just assume it's Ty in a flashback. But yeah, she's riding. She's like, don't stop, you son of a bitch.
yeah, and like Cavill's again, his orgasm is very aggressive. He's like, yeah. And I was like, woo.
I will say this: once we realized it was Cavill, the fun was kind of gone from the scene for me,
yes.
We'll kind of. I'm going to circle back to some of this.
Yes.
But like initially when I thought it was a flashback of her and Ty, I was kind of into it. I'm like, this feels like an amazing insight into just how fucked up and toxic their love life is. This is great. And then I realized what was going on. I was like, oh, nope, that's not great, actually. Never mind. Because like another thing that I liked until I realized it was Cavill was that after he orgasmed, she just kind of shuts off and dismounts. And when I thought it was Ty, my read on that was, oh, she knows that once he finishes, that's it. And, you know, why bother trying? Yeah. If she hasn't already gotten there by now, she's not going to. But instead, her shutting off and dismounting has a whole other meaning once you realize who the hell it was.
Yes.
And it's not fun anymore.
Yes, because Cavill says, I quite enjoyed that. She says, I'm so glad. Very clearly, like, not really glad. She doesn't give a shit. And she's not looking at him. And then she says, well, when do I get what I want? And Cavill says, I believe that's happening right now. And this is happening concurrently with stuff with Ty. We see Ty's locked up. We'll get to that in a second. But yes,
let's also mention her face is bruised. It looks like she's been
hit and hurt. Yeah,
smacked around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of told Jesse I've already that I've had a little bit of a rough day, so it's possible I'm going to be too mean to this episode, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's a whole swath of stuff that's been introduced in terms of how the Cylons operate now that I fucking hate, and it's kind of epitomized by this.
Fair. Well, we have Ty is in solitary confinement. We see that he's wearing an eye patch.
You say wearing an eye patch. He has a piece of gauze taped over one eye.
Yes. Sorry.
I think calling it an eye patch is being real generous.
Sorry, I got it confused with later on where he will get an eye patch. I don't know if it's in. I don't think it's in this episode, but he will get an eye patch.
No, he does not have a proper eye patch in this episode. It is just a piece of gauze taped over his. What we will find out later is his completely empty eye socket.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's putting hash marks on the side of the cell, like to count the days he's been in there, stuff like that. But then what we presume is another Cavill comes in, because it seems like things are happening concurrently with the other Ellen.
Yeah.
But another Cavill comes in and says...
The other Ellen? There's only one, so far as I'm aware.
Other Cavill. That wasn't some...
I know. It would make no fucking sense if Ellen was a Cylon at this point. It would make zero sense.
So, Cavill... comes in, he puts on sunglasses for the light, the light's like really blinding, and he sort of teases Ty, like, we change those whenever we take you out of the cell, we change those hash marks on that calendar you make every time we take you out of here.
Yeah.
Which is like...
What a dick.
Yeah. It's like, we reviewed your case today, there was a great disappointment on the review committee, and then he just, like, leaves, but he leaves the door open. And Ty is a little confused, and it seems like he's going to go for it, but then Cavill, like, pops around again, saying, like, come on, we got to get you processed. It takes about an hour or so. Bureaucracy must be served, but you'll be home in time for dinner. And I'm not going to hold the door open forever. And then Ty follows him out.
Yep.
So, and during this, and actually, I'll end here. Ty we see Ty being released from the jail. Who sees Ellen, who comes to, like, help him, and she sort of asks, like, oh my gosh, she seems kind of shocked by the statement. It's okay, I'm out, that's all that matters. And she sort of walks away with her.
Yeah.
Another thing going on is we have Anders and the Chief are bombing Cylon ships. They set up a bomb on a raider along with some, and there's some other Cylons there, like Diana Beers and some sixes and boomers.
Whole bunch of sixes.
Yes.
Show up. A cluster of eights, I think.
Yes. Show up, and they blow it up after. There's a little bit of a moment where they think they might have failed to blow it up, but they do. And it goes off. This is happening concurrently with stuff that we'll see, because there's a moment here where we've been watching concurrently with all this. Starbuck is in an apartment building with Leoben, because Leoben's going in, and he's basically playing house with her, like cutting up her food, and she's just playing. She seems to be playing like nice housewife, like yeah.
Let's back up for a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is, at this point, I think it's deliberate. Initially, I thought it was just like, oh, they only have one apartment set, because I don't think I mentioned. I did notice before that Starbuck and Boomer's apartments on Caprica were literally the same set redressed.
Yes, yeah.
And I just took it as like that's limited resources. At this point, like, this is also that same apartment. It feels way more deliberate in this case. It feels more like a direct attempt by the Cylons or Leoben in specific to recreate a original Caprica normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
And you say that, like, she's being the housewife and he's cutting up her food. It's pretty clear, like, from the offset.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That he's cutting up her food because he won't let her have a knife.
Yes. Like, she says, I need a knife. He goes and cuts it for her.
Yeah.
And she says, thank you. And they have, like, he also does a little prayer as well to God, singular. But then when the bomb goes off, again, we've been cutting back and forth. He sort of goes and looks at it, like the smoke in the distance, and he comes back and leaves his knife on the table, and he's like, "You look so lovely tonight." But she then takes her chopsticks that she has and stabs it through his neck.
They're metal chopsticks, if folks are wondering. But yeah, like straight through. You see them come out the other side.
Yeah. And she basically murders him with them. Like, he goes on the ground and she stabs him repeatedly with them.
Well, he goes on the ground, and this is like basically the one part of the scene I like, because it's haunting as hell. He just looks at her and says, "I'll see you tonight." Mm-hmm. And then she finishes stabbing him. Like, that's chilling.
She says, "Take your time."
Yeah. Like, that's a great line. Can I talk about why I fucking hate this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, let me also just describe this too. This is Dr. Aaron and I call this creeper storyline. The creeper storyline, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I fucking hate this. And I'm going to lump the Cavill screwing Ellen in with this. Mm-hmm. This is okay. So, in terms of analysis of the Cylons as any kind of analog to fascism or oppressive societies, on that basis, I get why this is here. Because sexual violence and control of women is an innate part of a lot of those systems. Those systems depend on controlling all kinds of people, but it doesn't go about controlling men and controlling women in the same way. And those kinds of systems and oppressive organizations, etc., will use sexual violence in this manner. So in terms of an allegory or a metaphor or an analog, I get it. I get why it's here. However, I don't ever want anything in science fiction or fantasy to be only an analog or only a metaphor. I want it to also function on its own. And when you take these things that are machines, and you are taking very specifically the ones that have not been programmed in a way that they are intended to be sleeper agents and therefore need to have all these human appearing, wants and desires and everything else because they have to blend in, but instead are fully aware of what they are and are giving in to these base, coarse, just awful human tendencies of what humans do to themselves. And like, if the show's got any sense, it'll make a thing out of this. And
oh yeah.
And like, I fully acknowledge they could be going somewhere with this, and like how there's, and we're going to see later, there's kind of conflict among the Cylons, like about how to go about this. And maybe it'll be a thing like, why are some of us giving into these very human instincts? Why are we acting like that? Maybe it'll be a thing. But until it's a thing, and even possibly after it is, depending on what they do with it, I find it way less interesting. It's the same reason that I always find it really uninteresting when something that seems very alien or very robotic or very inhuman or very otherworldly is made more human and more person-like. That is less innately interesting. And then at this point, I'm 43, and my appetite for this kind of stuff is very close to exhausted, and my tolerance for it is waning rapidly to just see it depicted. I'm kind of sick of it. That's not this show's fault. That's me being the age that I am and living in the world that we live in. But even setting that aside, because that's a personal taste thing, I just innately find it way less interesting when you take something that is intriguing to me because it isn't human and make it behave more like a human.
Many thoughts off of that, just to kind of touch it. I'll save some of it for spoiler minute, because what I will say is some of your frustration will become textual. There will be textual discussions of the exact thing that you are bringing up, and it'll be a thing. Listeners will probably already know what I'm referring to if they've already seen the show. So yes, this frustration that you're feeling about like alien, like things that are not human acting more human, will become a more textual conversation within the show. So that doesn't bother me, but again, that's from me having seen the show.
Yeah. And we've run into this before. When you know where some stuff's going, it makes it easier to deal with.
Yes. So I think your frustration is legitimate in that feeling. It does not bother me. I will just put it this way. Like, it didn't bother me at the time, but that was, again, because I watched the show when I was, however young I was, 15, 16, something like that. So
God,
like at the time, So at the time I watched this wasn't like an overly done thing. That being said, I agree. Like, now I agree with you. I am tired of just seeing sexual objectification, like using sex, oppressive societies using sex as like just seeing that just depicted without much commentary on it as frustrating. Though it's hard for me to put it necessarily on the show given the time it was written and the time that I first encountered it. So it's like, I think you are correct. I agree with that critique. It bothers me less just because I am watching the show on a rewatch and I am not watching it now. Had this been made now, came out as a movie today or a TV show today, I'd be much more critical of it and I've been critical of it in shows like Andor. Like, Andor's a show that I love, and they did something similar in Andor, and I critiqued it there for exactly the same reasons that you are. So I agree with you. But I'm more forgiving of it here, just given the time I encountered it and the time that it released.
Yeah, and I can fully acknowledge if I'd seen this at the time that it aired, it probably wouldn't bother me anywhere near as much as it does now. But something that I am frequently having to point out in my break room of Geeks reviews, especially when I talk about anything that is not, that's a decade old or more, when people try and defend it, like, well, you're judging it with your standards of today. Like, look, I can only view a thing with the perspective I have.
Mm-hmm.
I can try and acknowledge that it would have gone down different in another time, but I also don't have a time machine, and I can't roll back and experience it in 2006 or whenever the hell this aired.
Yeah,
I'm experiencing it now. That's the perspective you get. If that bothers you, I don't know why you're still here.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the part of the dialogue of the show that makes it interesting. I'm not knocking that. Like, I think that's just part of the interesting thing about the show.
I know you're not, but like, people get on my ass every now and then. I'm like, what the hell do you want from me?
That's the listeners. That is for you. That is the pitch of this show. Is I am somebody watching the show with nostalgia. Vera is watching it with fresh eyes. The dialogue is the point. That is the textual point of the conversation of the pitch of the show. Just to defend it. Like, the point ultimately is neither of us is supposed to be taken as like your view, but the conversation creates the broader point. That's the point of why we do podcasts, and why we have really any kind of societal discussion, because otherwise you get fascism or shit like that. Anyways, now that we've explained Hegelian dialectics to people, let's move on. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, I'll save it for later, because the other element of what you were saying, that I'll toss in here, but I'll bring it more up textually later on, which is you talking about this being a metaphor for oppressive regimes, but not wanting it to just be a metaphor. I will say we talked about this with the Resistance last week, where it was like, why this is very clearly meant to be like a metaphor for, America in Iraq, but also oppressive regimes generally. We talked about Israel, a bunch of other things. Like, you can like set the colonial and different things like occupying forces. And we like, what's the Cylon's goal here? It kind of feels nebulous and just being mapped onto these things. There's a scene in this episode that I think helps me personally significantly. It doesn't fully get us all the way there, but at least it helps a lot more to be like, okay, here's the goals and why this sort of maps onto these kind of regimes. So we'll talk about it more in just a second, but I appreciate the scene later on, but you touched upon it there, so I at least wanted to mention it here. Okay. So yes, we just got to Leoben kills Starbuck, or Starbuck kills Leoben. Starbuck kills Leoben. Other thing I should say at the end of that scene is after she kills Leoben, she wipes blood on the floor, and still holding a bloody blood on her hand, she grabs the knife and just eats her food calmly, which again feels very Starbuck. I like that. She's just like, I'm just good now I can eat.
Well, like, part of me wonders, like, was part of her intent in the scene, like, did she stab him with a chopstick so that she could use using the knife to finish cutting her
it's like,
food?
How could I eat this without the knife? Yeah. All right. We then jump to the opening sequence of the episode.
Which no longer has a counter.
No, it does not. I think we will get it back at some point.
That's interesting, because like when I noticed it was dropped, I was kind of like, oh.
I do think we get it back. I just think like it's a little difficult given the number count at certain points. But yeah, I think we will get a back point. But yeah, the new opening sequence does have the phrase "the human race far from home fighting for survival." So,
yeah,
is the new phrase. But yeah, I missed the counter as well. We then cut back. We have Caprica City. This is the 134th day of occupation, so it's been about 4 months. So it's about a month after last episode, or the mini-sodes we watched last week. So it's been about a month, and a little bit of change. There has been a little bit more development. We see in the distance in some of the establishing shots, there's another building being built, which is presumably like we have the jail, we have the apartment complex, maybe a building or two else. So.
Oh, actually, I wanted to ask because there's a bit I can't remember. I think it happens. No, yeah, it happens later.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a bit that seemed to imply to me that the apartment might actually also be in the detention facility.
It might be. Yeah, it could be theoretically.
Yeah, that like it's. I've jumped ahead. This scene is like a ways later in the episode, but and maybe that was unintentional. But I actually thought that was kind of. If it was done on purpose, it's kind of brilliant. The idea that, they have this thing done up as an apartment to be all homey and wifey, but it's still just a prison cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it very well might be. My assumption was a different building, but it is. You could read it as implied to be that. I don't know if it was connecting the dots that cleanly, but it is sort of implied to be. So
yeah.
But
anyways, yes, there is more stuff getting built, and it's probably not low cost housing.
No. Yes. Yes, it is not. Rosalind is writing, and we sort of hear her give like a monologue of sort of like what's been going on. Today is Mars Day, so the celebration of the god of war, which she says is, fitting considering perpetual war is the only real prospect for us, it feels like. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I get that poetically, that makes sense. But like, also like You've been at war. You've been doing this for 4 months now. So
yeah.
What's so poetic about this day? Yeah, it's like if I wore Christmas clothing all 364 days of the year, and then go like, oh, what a coincidence! On today of all days, I'm wearing Christmas outfits on Christmas. I guess so. Anyways, she sort of tells us that there's been no contact from the Galactica. But she refuses to believe that Adama has abandoned them. The insurgency has been making back, and it may seem like futile gestures, but she feels that it's critical for morale, for maintaining some level of hope. For the insurgency to have a more meaningful impact, they need to hit a high-profile target, because the Cylons keep resurrecting themselves, and they still walk among us, which she calls, I think, chilling is her word.
Yeah, and then which unfortunately means that, like, it doesn't. I'm not going to say guerrilla tactics won't work, but they can't be as innately effective because replacing the people you killed is just literally replacing them with the same people.
Yes.
That having been said, it would be neat if it ever comes up down the road that some of them are starting to get really fed up from having died over and over and over again, because we've had the notion done before in a couple of ways that dying and coming back is real traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be real interesting if they keep doing that and like show it start to take its toll on these, like, because I kind of made the assumption back when we did the episode Downloaded that the Deanna that we saw who was interacting with Caprica 6 and
Boomer,
thank you.
OG Boomer.
OG Boomer.
We're so close to getting Tumor another name. I almost thought they were going to do it this episode. I'll be like, thank God, but not yet. So.
Not quite. But I kind of made the leap and said, I bet she hasn't died before.
Mm-hmm.
So she just makes a lot of assumptions about how easy it is because she hasn't had to do it. And I think that notion is real interesting. That just because they can resurrect doesn't make this stuff not damaging. And I real hope I hope they don't drop that, because
I think
the way that it's being talked about right now is leaning a little bit more into the notion of we can't ever kill them, they just come back. I'm like, yeah, but it should be wearing on them. I mean, granted, the Resistance might not be seeing that, but to me as the viewer, this should start wearing on them.
All I will say is I do believe it comes up. I don't think it comes up within this arc though, but it might come up. It might come up down the line in the show. So,
Okay.
Because they're presumably Cylon's gonna keep dying for at least 2 more seasons of this show and coming back. So. Anyways, we also get referred to the.
Although it also kind of begs the question: did they build a new resurrection ship, or is this planet actually close enough to their home world that they can just redo it that way?
It does indeed beg that question. We then also get mentions of the Silent Occupation Authority, exerts complete authority, and the colonial government under Baltar functions in name only. So we get that, and then we get to a meeting of the Colonial Occupation Authority. This is the scene I was referring to earlier, because it's basically the 2 Cavils are leading the meeting essentially, and Baltar's just sort of sitting there, just like reading a book.
Yeah, he's not even paying attention.
Yeah,
because like the voiceover from Rosalind is like, the government and Baltar are in charge in name only.
Yeah, and Baltar just cut to Baltar reading a book while the Cylons talk all around him and actually run the government, which works. Mm-hmm. It's effective. But yeah, the Cavils are basically arguing, our goal here is to bring the word of God, right? The love of God to these people, like kind of pointing out.
Which he keeps putting in air quotes, which is real interesting.
Yeah, as we saw from last episode, the season finale, the Cavils don't really buy into the whole one true God stuff.
I know, but it's interesting that they're still citing it as the goal, meaning that either they're willing to pursue a goal that they don't believe in because that's what everyone else wants, or pursuit of that goal lets them do something they otherwise already wanted to do. I'm not sure which is the case, but I just found, like, the air quotes are consistent, but at the same time that he is using it to justify, some of the things that they're about to suggest is interesting. I mean, it
reads to me.
We see jackasses like Trump and so much of the GOP cite the Bible all the time, but they don't go up there and go, it says in the Bible, and put air quotes around it.
But and I don't think Cavill does that either in front of other people. If he was giving a speech. But I certainly believe, maybe not all of them, but I certainly believe some in the GOP are just they don't give an actual shit about the Bible. They'll I'm sure someone will be like, oh, that's I'm sure in some ways oh yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm sure Trump did. I'm sure Trump doesn't give a fuck about the Bible. That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
Do you remember his response when he was asked, "What's your favorite quote from the Bible?"
No.
Or what's your favorite?
All of them, or it was something weird.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, they're all so good."
Yeah,
I love all of them. I love the whole thing.
I am almost for sure there are some GOP members like Trump or others who are just like, oh yeah, that stupid fucking book. I could give a shit. You were trying to preach natural God-given natural genders and but I don't give an actual fuck about what God says because I don't really believe in them. I 100% believe it, and that's a key feature of many oppressive regimes. You can there's that they've all done that where there'll be some people who are true believers even in the higher echelons, and some are just whatever I have to say to get whatever text or religion or belief that I have to rely on as common sense that we're returning to, they'll do that. So Cavill kind of reads that that's how I read Cavill, at least in these scenes, which is very much I don't buy into this bullshit, but certainly makes a good narrative for what we're trying to do. So and then cut to, we get some people who are true believers here, where boomers we're trying to find a new way to live in peace with the humans. Caprica 6 cites God as well overtly. Boomer seems not against the God belief, but she is very much we do want to try and find a way to reconcile these, and Caprica 6 is much more overtly religious. And Cavill's yeah, it's been a fun, and I love Cavill, he's and it's been a fun ride so far, but I just want to clarify our objectives. Bring the word of God using any means necessary. And he's fear is a key article of faith. Instill a little bit more fear in the people's hearts and minds. Let's execute Baltar.
Yeah, and then Baltar suddenly looks up and he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I love that. And then 6 comes in to defend him.
6 comes in to defend him, and then I think it's Doral who's
yeah, if we killed him at the beginning, it would have worked, but now people view him as a traitor and would cheer his death.
Yeah, there's actually 2 Dorals in the room.
Yeah.
As well. So we've got 2 Cavils, 2 Dorals, Boomer and Caprica 6.
Yes.
But Yeah, and like I will say this, the casualness with which Cavill in particular is saying all this stuff, I really love.
Mm-hmm. Oh no,
Like
yeah, no.
it's
Again, Cavill
it's
is one of my
chilling.
favorite characters. Like, I don't think he's not a good guy, but he's definitely one of my favorite characters on this show. Oh, Cavill, I do love him. We're just starting with him.
I think we might have finally found the Londo of this
Yeah,
of this show.
yeah.
Ain't a good guy, but boy, is it great when he shows up.
Exactly. Anyways, yes. So Caprica defends Baltar, and Doral's like, Caprica cites an emotional reason, like she's like, I have feelings for him. And Doral cites the very pragmatic reason that it'd actually be counterintuitive. So Cavill says, all right, well, let's round up the leaders of the insurgency and also round up random members of the population and execute them.
Publicly.
Publicly to instill fear and sort of give this idea of like, if you don't get your act together, we'll reduce the human population to a more manageable size, less than 1,000, he cites, which would be, that would be significant.
Yeah, it would.
Mm-hmm. Again, reads very well. Yep, just genocide. It's like, yeah, we'll just manage them down, and then we'll say we're like saving them, but no, we'll just do a genocide, and we'll give the other ones like some secondary citizen, rights.
Yeah.
And yes, but like Six and Boomer basically are arguing again. We're trying to start a new way of life, push past conflict. And Cavill's like, what have it gotten us? And then Cavill just sort of like goes like, frack it, never mind, and just like walks out at this point. And he has this line that says, "You're living in a fantasy world, delusional machines. What's the universe gonna come up with next?" So,
Yep. Again, I like him a lot.
So, and this is actually where I'll start. I'll even bring this back a little bit to what we were talking about before. Here's something that Cavill is clearly stating and kind of going along to what you were saying of like, you're machines. Why are we acting like humans? Why do we give a fuck? So I'll say this now because it's already been cited a couple times. Cavill is definitely going to start growing to be the mouthpiece of exactly the frustration that you are citing, Vera. Like
Good.
like textually he will be that mouthpiece and will argue for it, and it'll be a very big conversation. So
It'll make me like him all the more.
Oh, believe me, there's a moment in this series that I'll just say this. Like, there's a scene in this series that I love so much from Cavill that I literally performed it in an acting class for college.
Nice.
So, anyways, let's see. Deanna then comes up to 6 after this conversation is over. It's like Caprica 6, not Head 6. Head 6 is still in the mix, but you don't see her this episode. Deanna goes up to Caprica 6 and says, "Is it worth it? The love of man worth losing all of this?" And Caprica 6, "If you ever experienced love, you wouldn't have to ask." So, love conquers all. Yeah. This is the scene that I will say, I just want to touch on it because I talked about it a little bit before. This is the scene that does help me a little bit more because there is a justification here that kind of gets into like, okay, it's a religious state is kind of what they're like trying to like, kind of like Catholics going around being like, oh, you're going to follow our way of life or not. Like that's the justification that a lot of these sidelines are following through on. And while Boomer and Caprica 6 as sort of the ideological heads of this seem like they are earnest believers in like, we're trying to find a new way of life, all of the other Cylons seem to probably have a much more like, oh, we will, dictate our way of life to the humans and put it upon them in a way that is actually trying to, that is what's causing the conflict. And that works a little bit more than this nebulous, they're a metaphor for oppressive regimes. There's at least a goal here that kind of maps onto many historical justifications, whether it be the Catholics, whether it be, Israel as an ethno-state, many other like religious ethno-state sort of functionaries. So, works.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. But I just want to at least mention it because they're like, okay, this at least grounds the Cylons in something like not just metaphor. So that works a little bit better for me.
All right.
Yeah. Again, it doesn't fully get there. Like, it doesn't fully get out of the realm of like how much this is clearly going to map onto shit. But at least it helps. So, we then have Rosalind sort of talking about how the Cylons have been recruiting a human police force, and she gives voice to a sentiment that we'll see prop up in a few people, which is hard to think of anything more despicable than humans doing the dirty work for Cylons. People may have thought they were taking the civilian security out of the hands of the Cylons, but they've since become an extension of Cylon authority, a secret police. So not everyone knows who the members of this authority are, and we see that we learned in the Resistance that Duck was joining as a double agent, but we now see Jammer is also a member, but he seems to be an earnest member. So,
Yep. It was nice to see the recruitment posters where I could actually read them, as opposed to the AI upscaling that happened to the minisodes, where boy, that's just fucking gibberish.
Yes. Yeah, so we have all that.
I will take low resolution over AI upscaling. I will just
100%.
put that on the record.
Yes, 100%. I agree completely. Because it like takes away from certain aspects of the production design and even actors' performances at times too. So yeah.
Yep.
However, one other thing that we learn here is that there is a source within Baltar's administration that is communicating with the insurgency through a secret signal of a dog bowl. They'll flip over the dog bowl, and that's when Chief knows that there's something to go and get, that the source is giving them, but they don't know who the source is. He goes to one of the drawers, and I love how every time he opens the drawer with the stuff from the source, it's always the text of exactly what it is facing upwards. I get it, it's shorthand for production, but it's like...
top secret plans for the human police force.
Yeah, that happens like twice in this episode. Both times is like perfectly legible right up top. Like anyone opens that drawer, it's just right there. I just found that funny. Again, it's a shorthand. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It just was a funny little. It'll be a Cinema Sins ding that is very funny.
Somebody from the Baltar administration helping. Who could it be? How many named characters have we seen as part of the Baltar? Wow, there is a whole one person it could possibly be.
Yes, I mean obviously in text, but it could have also been like Boomer or a Six, or Six is there, Boomer's there.
Except we see them like we don't see face, but we get a silhouette, and it's a masculine silhouette. Yeah. It's a masculine silhouette.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think the episode's trying to hold it over our heads for too long.
Well, no, and like I'm making fun of it. We're gonna have the reveal by the end of this episode, but I did kind of have a laugh. I'm like, ooh, there's so many possibilities. It could be Gata.
It could be Baltar himself, theoretically.
Yeah, fucking right.
Anyways, but yes, this source has given Chief the plans for the grand graduation ceremony for the Cylon Authority, the secret police. Anyways, we then have a quick little
for ICE.
For ICE, yeah, essentially, yeah. It's not an inaccurate metaphor. Anyways, we then have Callie with her baby, and Chief comes in, and he's like, Callie's sort of waxing protest. Sometimes I hate everything here about this place. Sometimes it's magic. And Chief's like, hey, I gotta go out for a little bit. And then Callie sort of states plainly, he's like, one of these days you're not gonna come back. You're just gonna vanish, and Nick will never know his father. So, which it's a realist way of looking at it. Yeah.
It is. I don't know. I liked the line, one day you're just going to leave and never come, and you're never going to come back. I liked that. Bringing in, and Nick will never know his father. I don't know. I'm waiting for them to do something other with Callie other than mother. Mm-hmm. Because right now, ever since the time jump, it's been super pregnant, holding a baby, worried about the baby. Like, cool, great. Does she have a second personality trait?
Oh, she will. You'll also
hate it. I'm going to hate it, aren't I?
You're going to hate it.
Oh, fuck. God damn it, man. I can't decide if the show hates Callie or if the show hates me. They might also me to suffer through Callie.
They might not like the actress. Again, the actress isn't seemingly a great person, so that might have also been part of it. Not saying the way they write Callie is right, but
yeah. But I think I've mentioned this before though. Don't finalize a script out of spite.
Yeah, I know.
If you have an initial idea of it of spite, fine, but polish it when you calm down.
Yeah. Anyways, we have Ty meeting up with Anders and Chief doing their little meeting of the resistance leadership. Though the woman leader isn't here from the resistance.
Yeah, I noticed that.
She will be back. I know she does come back. She has a role to play in at least one of the upcoming episodes this season. I do remember that specifically. But she's not here now. Anyways, yeah, they so to meet up with Ty, they say good to see him. It's been a hot minute, and yeah, Ty's like, yep, yeah, just to let you know, they ripped out my eye. They picked it up and showed it right to me, looked like a hard-boiled egg. So he's just very, very blunt with that. They talk about how they've been doing bombing raids. But they also they got the graduation plans, even though the source won't tell me their name, which is safer for all of us. And yeah, Ty gets kind of worked up. It's like, humans working for Silence makes me want to puke. I think Anders sort of says that as well. And then they say that Baltar's going to be at the graduation ceremony. And Ty is like, ooh, yeah, great, perfect. But Chief brings up,
let's kill him.
Yeah, and Chief says it'd be tough avoiding human casualties, and Ty says it's fine. You work with Cylons, you're a target. Anything worth nailing Baltar is worth doing. So, yep.
Yeah. Which there's a line that he has. I can't remember if he says it here or if he says it in a later scene, but I think he said it here.
Mm-hmm.
No boundaries for the Cylons, no boundaries for us.
Mm-hmm. I think he says that later, but yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I'm not going to say it's a sentiment I necessarily agree with, but it's one I understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely get where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm. We then have, we also get some talk about, they've been trying to reach out to the Galactica to a raptor that they think is in orbit around the planet, sort of waiting for signals, but they haven't been able to get through the jamming signal. Anders even postulates the idea that there's no raptor there, and it's been 4 months, the Galactica's not coming back, and Ty argues no, there is a raptor there. That was the plan. The old man wouldn't leave us for the Cylons. To which Anders kind of gets worked up. It's I would be dead a year now. He left me on Caprica, and I would be dead a year now if my wife hadn't let it go. If the old man hadn't left me behind there. And then Ty seems like he's going to respond in anger and defend Adama with this, but then he swerves and says any word on Kara, and they've heard nothing in 4 months.
Yep. So she got swept up a while back, apparently.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as far as the plan thing goes, it's made clear that Ty and Adama they didn't necessarily expect this to happen, but there was a general contingency plan if the Cylons showed up and Caprica and Pegasus weren't in a position to fight it, that there'd be a raptor that would be left behind and or redeployed intermittently to try and pick up a signal.
Yes, yeah. So that's what Ty is sort of putting his faith on. Starbuck, we cut back to Starbuck over the dead body of Leoben she killed, and a new Leoben comes in and he's like, hi, honey, I'm home. You kill me, I download, I come back, we start over, which this happened 5 times now. And he's like, I'm trying to help you. I only want you to see the truth of your life, why you struggled for so long. God sent me to you. The gods want us to be together. Starbuck seemingly tries to put up an act like, you're right. I hear you, so thank you, and goes to seemingly kiss him, and then he goes, put it down. She's been hiding the knife. She was going to kill him again. She gives it to him, and he says, I'm a patient man.
She doesn't give it to him. She drops it, and it thunks blade first into the floor.
Yes.
He picks it up from there.
Yes. But basically, he basically argues, you're going to love me. You're going to embrace me and tell me that you love me. I've seen it. And she goes, you're insane. And he says, to know the face of God is to know madness. I'm going to bed. Be nice if you join me. Either way, you'll be spending the night with me. And he says, I do love you, Kara. She seemingly, realized, he left the door open. And she goes out to the door, but then there is and this is what you were referring to earlier, there is metal bars on the hallway preventing her from escaping any further.
Yep. And I now hate Leoben.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame, because I found him real intriguing as a character before. And I was really wondering, what is his deal? What is his angle? And now it's he thinks God wants him to be in love with her, and that she'll love him. Great. I fucking hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate it. I as just a general notion in and of itself, I find it uninteresting and gross. And it takes a character who I found intriguing and makes him basic and gross.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see this guy again.
Dr. Aaron and I call this the creeper storyline. I mentioned this earlier. Dr. Aaron, she's been on this podcast, but she's a friend of mine. So the actor Callum Keith Rennie, I think is how you say the name, who plays Leoben, he appeared as a regular character in Star Trek Discovery. And she and I just repeatedly just had a joke amongst ourselves. It was just like, oh, it's so funny to like see him there because he's like actually not a bad guy on that show, and we just know him as the creeper.
Yeah.
So and it's specifically from this arc here with this. So
yep.
And
the
actor's great. It's nothing against him.
Yeah, like he's playing the hell out of the part, but like he's like great. So now he's obsessed with this one fucking woman. Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not my least favorite thing in the episode necessarily. We're coming to that in a second.
I was just about to get to that.
You warned me, but I did not understand the extent of it. Jesus fucking Christ. We'll get there real soon.
Oh, we're getting there now because we cut to the Galactica and Pegasus. The Galactica and Pegasus Viper crews are running drills. Adama's listening in. But they're trying to plan out a maneuver that they've been planning for a while, essentially. But they can't get it down. Cat is the CAG, and they have to abort the maneuver. Hilo basically says, all right, come in. You're almost out of fuel anyways. But Adama basically says, and because Hilo is his second in command on the Galactica, and Adama says, no, bring out the tanker, practice refueling, and run it one more time. And Hilo's like, they've done it 16 times now. He's like, the next one will be 17, won't it? So he seems very callously not giving a shit. It's like
he's very snappish with these orders because like we're used to seeing Adama very matter of fact when delivering orders. Like no, he's running out of patience.
Lee is listening in, and this is where we get to Fat Suit Lee because we have several shots of him shirtless and clearly overweight in this, and like even low angle shots to highlight his gut at a couple points.
I'm holding back because there's more, and I don't want to go off until we've gotten it all in, and I can go off all at once.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna kind of suppress for a minute.
Yep. Well, Lee calls Adama, and it's kind of like, what the Frak are you doing? If we can't do it in a training exercise, how can we do this when silent raiders are on our asses? I don't know how we're gonna do any of this crap, and like Adama's like getting angry as well. But during all of this, there's a collision of the Vipers, and basically they all have to come in regardless because there's a collision. And Adama and Lee Adama just throws the phone, angry, and Lee's like, yep, well, fine. Cut to, and this is the scene where I know you're gonna go off. Where Adama is Lee and Adama are arguing in Adama's quarters. Essentially, it's like they haven't had action, in months. Most of the people don't know what's going on. You're saying they're not working hard enough. And Adama's responds back to Lee. He's like, "You're weak. You're soft mentally and physically. You've had 4 months to get your act together. All you've done is complain and whine. Get your fat ass out of here." Now,
I'm still not quite yet. There's one more thing. Okay. It's not the most offensive, but there was one more thing that I wrote down that's kind of the capper on this. So
yes.
Just keep going.
Well, I have to skip ahead. So I'll just do that scene so we can just get it out of the way. We then cut to, so this is a little bit later on the episode, but it's fine to put it here. We have Lee talking to D.
And what is he doing at the start of the scene?
Oh, he's eating food. He's eating
He's eating! He's Okay. Okay. The first thing we see of him is him with a towel wrapped around his waist. So you said low angle to focus on the belly. I want to underline this. His naked belly, so you get maximum fucking jiggle. Honestly, that shot is probably not a fat suit because we don't get his face. That's probably a fat actor stand-in who they paid a shitty day rate to come in and have their nearly naked fat body ogled and used in humiliating ways. And then Adama specifically linking like the idea that Lee is not up for the job for the fact that he's now gained weight and he's fat, and literally telling him to get his fat ass out the door. And then the show validates that by opening the next scene and having him fucking eating. So it's not just a matter of Adama's being a dick because he's impatient. It's like, no, look, he's right. Look at the fat ass. Fucking stuff his fat fucking face. Eat shit. Ronald Moore, eat shit and gain 50 pounds from it, you asshole.
Yeah, so this was criticized heavily even at the time.
Good.
Yeah. Obviously, there was the fat, shabby people. It was like, oh, it's so funny. And those people definitely existed. But this was very criticized at the time. And is still my go-to example in my brain when I think of fat suits. This storyline. I think the other one is like fat Thor. Which let me put it this way. There's some redeeming qualities about Fat Thor, especially the fact that when he gets like supercharged at the end of Endgame, they don't remove him from being fat. Like there's an element of that. That is a good part of that.
Single best thing about Fat Thor.
Yes, that is the one redeeming quality of that bit. The rest of it, not great. That bit is like, okay, there's at least a redeeming quality. There's nothing redeeming about this.
There's nothing. All this is using being overweight or becoming overweight. God, I don't even want to use. I would rather say fat than overweight. Like as someone who is fat, I would rather be called fat.
No. I'll shout out Sarah because this is something that she says. You should use fat because overweight implies like a regular weight. Like there is a standard of weight. So fat, no, it's fat. It's fat is the.
So like it's not like this is one of the most straightforward instances of got fat as shorthand for went to hell, is a worse person, is not taking care of themselves, is just in a worse place. Mm-hmm. This is one of the worst instances I have ever seen of that. And so much goddamn emphasis is put on it. Because again, at least with Fat Thor, and I don't like Fat Thor, and I don't like the jokes at his expense, but at least not only when he gets his hammer back does he not trim down, even before that, we see him as fat, kicking ass. Mm-hmm. At least you get some representation of the fact that, like, yes,
fat people can kick ass.
Yes, he got fat because he's depressed, which is not a great visual shorthand, but that doesn't stop him from being heroic. That doesn't stop him from being mighty. Here, it is literally just the shorthand. You can tell he went to hell because he's fat. God damn it.
And don't worry, Vera. As soon as he gets his act together, there's going to be a quick little montage, and he's out of the fat suit.
I can't tell if you're joking.
Oh, I am not. Yeah. It fucking sucks and is one of the worst examples of it. And it's that shorthand of, like, you know, and this is the thing that I kind of also wanted to bring up of, like, fat people not being able to be in the military. Because, like, I could see someone arguing the point. And I don't agree with it, and I'll say why in just a second, but like someone arguing the point that, oh, look, well, you know, he's in the military and he should be like keeping his body toned and worked out. It's like, again, fat people can kick ass, and we've even seen how that is weaponized against people very recently with, what's his fucking face, Stephen fucking Miller, giving the little speech to the generals with Stephen Miller. I always get the...
No, that was Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth. Sorry. I get all the fascist little white cis dudes confused because they're all stupid and I don't give a shit about them. But Pete Hegseth giving his little...
Yeah, no, Stephen Miller's the one who looks like Nosferatu. Pete Hegseth is the one who looks like the worst guy at the gym found Jesus.
Yeah. I like when I actually pay attention to it, I do know the difference. But when I try to remember them casually in my brain, I just regulate them all to stupid fucking fascist. But he gave his like his little like wannabe I'm a little strong boy speech to all the military admirals who didn't give a fuck, and he did that whole thing. It was like, no fatties in the military. We're gonna do like. There are different weights and different weights that people can be within the military. Again, I'm not someone that's out here defending the military, but like,
and also
there are there's different healthy weights for people to be in the military.
And not to mention the fact that like, if you're in a command position, mm-hmm. You're not expected to run 5 miles in the mud to take the hill.
Yes.
And besides the fact, we've had a fat person in command here. The second in command on the Pegasus was not a small guy.
No. Yeah.
Nobody ever brought his weight up.
Yeah, no, but it's just Lee used to be fit and now he's not, and so it's bad. It shows how he's gotten soft, and it's like, and in fact, it arguably, like, it shows probably, like, good that, like, leaders who are thinking more in tactics than having to be in the Viper pilot seat, like, are, like, thinking more, you know what I mean, than at the gym all the time. You know what I mean?
No, I gotta hit the gym. Really? Will that help you issue orders faster? No, need the gains.
Yeah, no. Fuck this. It is legitimately the worst example of this that I can. Whenever I think of one, I'm sure there are worse ones. Like I'm sure, like, you know, there's shit like, what is it, the Eddie Murphy thing that he did or whatever, or stuff like that.
Which one? He's done a lot of fat.
There are worse ones than this, but this is the one I think of that is like normalized in a way that's like, oh, like, because the other ones are like over the top comedic. This is like very naturalized sort of way to do it, and it's still doing all of this bullshit. So
yeah, and that's the other thing. He's not even that big.
Yeah, he's really not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so there is that. So yeah, we'll come back to the scene with Lee and Dee because I'll just finish out the scene with Lee and Dee. It is a little bit ahead, but we have that. But yeah, Lee is kind of bitching about his dad, like, oh, they're, you know, 4 of our pilots almost get killed and he wants to bust my balls. And Dee seemingly silently agrees, and he's like, and she like seems to want to avoid it and like being like, forget it, I'm not looking for a fight. And he's like, nope, come out and say it. And she goes like, you're right, you are soft, and I'm not talking about the weight. You've lost your confidence, you lost your edge, you lost your war, Lee, and truth is you're a soldier who needs a war. You got in your head that your father is the soldier and you don't want to be like him, but you are like him. You're more like him than you know. One of the reasons I married you. That aspect of it I don't mind. It's the metaphor of the fat shit that I dislike.
Yeah.
The whole, like, you know, he's more like his father than he knows thing. Like, that's fine, but
yeah. I at this point I just wrote, was there anybody who didn't get married in the time jump?
Yeah, all right, everyone's got to be it. I also would be like, D, you want to fuck my dad? Is that what you're telling me?
I was like, did you just say you were attracted to me because I'm like my dad? The hell?
Yeah, you worked with my dad for much longer than me. So, like, was I just what you could get?
Also begs the question, and I don't know the answer yet. Is she still actively serving and in his direct chain of command?
She's his second in command, yeah.
Because that's
yeah.
Like, I won't go off on it the same way that I do on a lot of stuff where there's like romantic entanglements that I'm like, that's a horrible idea and also shouldn't be allowed by the organization they're in. I'll go lighter on it here because, like, they do literally just have a very small number of people qualified for literally anything being done on either ship. So I will give it a pass, though it still annoys me.
Yes, it does annoy me as well, but also it is like, there's a justification and a little bit of like, they let things lax during the time.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's a shocking amount that I think the show gets away with in general. There's been so many things that so many characters are like, you should have been stripped of rank, you should be in the brig, you should this, but like, they have so few people, it actually makes sense. Whereas in so many other shows, people are just allowed to get away with shit. It's like, what the fuck? Here it's like, okay, actually, if they punish this person, that is one less hand to help, and they need every hand right now. So that's the circumstances has actually allowed this show to get away with a fair bit on that front.
Yes. Well, back on New Caprica, we have Anders is playing Parisi Squares with Duck is there. He's one of the people playing this, and Ty and the Chief are talking, and it's kind of coded, but Chief and Ty are talking about, like, Chief says, I think we're crossing a line, and Ty's like, nope, kids got access and clearance, and Duck's talking to Anders like, I'm not backing out. You know, it's and basically we learned that this is essentially they're sending him on a one-way mission. We don't know exactly how or why, but they're sending him on a one-way mission to go and try and assassinate Baltar at the graduation ceremony.
I mean, I knew how as soon as they said the words one-way mission. I knew exactly where they were going.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that he, like, I think I knew exactly where they were going as well. However, it's saved for the reveal at the end, because it could imply, like, they asked him to bring a gun and, like, shoot Baltar, and then he'd get killed himself or whatever, but...
So, one
And,
of the things that...
Anders, I just want to at least finish out the scene. Duck also mentions like his fridged Nora, so we got a fridged wife moment there. I wanted to comment on, and then Anders tries to talk Duck out of it, and he's like, "Tell me you committed this," and Duck's like, I am. I'm Duck volunteered to do this. So, and Chief says some things you don't do even in war. So,
yeah. So, what is interesting because obviously the Chief has said his concern is. All about, how many people are going to get killed who maybe don't deserve it. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting is that, like, in my head, I was picturing this, like, graduation ceremony as being something that was, like, kind of public. Mm-hmm. And, like, might have a crowd or whatever. Mm-hmm. But we're going to find out later it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting in how it impacts my read on... both of what Ty is willing to do and where Chief has reservations. Because what I thought was a case of literally like innocent bystanders, collateral damage kind of thing. But that's not the case at all. So the line that the Chief is drawing is literally just they're human beings. And he is valuing their lives as being worth saving, regardless of the actions they're taking, even if those actions are in direct... cooperation and to the benefit of the Cylons, whereas Ty is taking no, if you're working for that side, we're going to treat you the way we treat them. Mm-hmm. And that I kind of want to give credit for that because that is a more interesting and more nuanced disagreement than I thought was happening, because I thought it was a disagreement over collateral damage. But what it's actually over is way more interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious to see whether or not that's something that they dig further into, or if it's just a note that we hit here.
Oh, this will be very much delved into. So,
cool.
Yeah. This is actually, I think, one of the more interesting parts of this whole storyline. This in the numerous ways that they explored this idea. So I'll say that. We then have a scene where Adama is talking to Toomer, who I will hopefully not have to call Toomer for too much longer. They don't say her name here. I think she technically got it between the time jump. But
I did notice that Caprica 6 was just called Caprica by Deanna.
Yes, just calls her Caprica, yeah.
I mean, so if you want to just start calling her that, I suppose you can.
Yeah, I can just call her Caprica.
Helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. We have Head 6 in Caprica. Boomer will stay Boomer. Toomer will get another name.
Any day now.
Any day now. I think she might not have, but I think she's either gonna get it soon or it's around now. Anyways,
I'm hoping it's like 5 or 6 episodes in, and every episode you're gonna get more and more
like,
frustrated.
please,
that it hasn't
just give it
yet.
to me. I just want to use her actual name that I have for her in my head.
They're just edging you with this name.
Well, because I've almost said it like a billion times, and it doesn't matter that much that if I spoil it to you, it really is not like a big reveal or anything. It's just like I'm just saving because it is a sweet moment. It's a transcoded moment, picking your name sort of thing. Yeah. Anyways, Adama's talking to Toomer, and he's sort of like, and it's very clear, like, well, the first thing I should set up, like, is the scene, because we're still in her cell. Like, she's still living in her cell, but it is much nicer. She's got a couch, some pieces of furniture. Like, it's a much nicer cell.
It is, but it is interesting to think about it, because if we
to Starbuck. Yeah.
If we conceive of the apartment Starbuck is in as also a cell, whether it's literally in the detention building or not, it is behind bars. Like, you can make a cell as pretty as you want. A cell is still a cell.
No, it's an interesting parallel. It's a very subtle parallel that I like. So
no, same.
And he's talking to her, and it's very clear that she's a confidant of his now. After this year, where he says, I don't know who my son is anymore. I don't know the crew, but I feel really alone except for you, referring to Toomer. And Toomer goes, I wish I could go back a year ago to hear Adama say that. And she asked him, do you feel guilty leaving people behind on Caprica? And he says, I don't do guilt because I'm a manly man, you see, and I don't feel human emotions because I'm a man. And she sort of gives this sort of thing. She talks about, like, a year ago when you put me in the cell, I was at a crossroads. I sat here for weeks consumed with rage, and at some point I realized it was just guilt, anger with myself for the choices that I had made, betraying my people, losing the baby, which was a weird one to say she blamed herself for. But I mean, I get it as like a postpartum depression thing, but it wasn't like a choice. It was just a weird one. But betraying my people, I could get. So she's like, so I had a choice, move forward or stay in the past. And the only way to move forward was to forgive myself. And then she sort of throws it back at Adama, saying, I don't think we can survive unless the man at the top finds a way to forgive himself. So,
Yep.
yeah, which I thought was a very sweet scene. The only knock on it is like the losing the baby line, but yeah.
Yeah.
You can justify it in numerous ways, but
you can.
It does kind of have that stink of like
man writing for a woman.
Yeah. Oh, I blame myself for It had that stink of it, but the rest of the scene was good. So
yeah.
But yeah, now she's a confidant of Adama. We then have that scene with Lee and Dee that I mentioned before, so that happens there. We then have another dog bowl flip moment where we see that Chief has been given the jamming frequencies. So from the inside job guy. We then cut to Ty, Anders, and Chief trying to, send out a signal. There's some, there's a little bit of like drama moment of like, oh, the Raptor's just about to fly away, and they just managed to get through at the last second, but they get the message through is essentially the long and short of it.
Which is a weird thing to generate drama about, because it's very clear that this Raptor hasn't been sitting there for 4 months.
Yeah.
It's just about to, it's very obviously they're on rotations. They come out, they hang for a bit, they leave, they come back. Like, it was gonna come back.
Yeah. It's like if they didn't get it right now, it would have been fine in like a day. They would have gotten them in a day or whatever.
It was a weird thing to try and build drama around. Like, oh no, they're gonna miss it. Like, they'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah. But yes, they said we'll make contact. They basically sent him a message saying make contact with you every 12 hours. Have hope. We're coming for you. Adama then learns that they made contact with Ty, and they Ty is an insurgent group. We're going to coordinate our rescue efforts, and Adama says it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay. He says to himself, essentially.
Yep.
We then have Roslyn and Tori, and we can see more clearly that Roslyn is like really a part of the insurgency. Like, we knew she was writing some stuff about it before, but now she's clearly helping out because she and Tori are trying to name the people in the police force, like figure out who's in it, and they found around 200 people who they assume are in it. And, Roslyn sort of like, I wouldn't have believed there would be 20, and I want those names. The Cylons are afraid, and Tori says the Cylons are afraid the population will go after any humans who join the police, and Roslyn's like, as well they should. So
yeah. Look. If you want to join ICE, you could throw as many masks on as you want.
Yeah, we'll still try to fuck up your life. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
did I say ICE? I didn't mean that.
Anyways, we have a quick little scene where Duck prays over how sad he is with his fridged wife. Oh, my dead wife. I am so sad. Thank you for giving me the motivation to help the plot today. We then have a little scene between, we have a scene with Baltar and Six, and Gaeta comes in, and he's like, hey, it's time for the graduation ceremony, and Baltar's like, been a change of plans, I won't be going, security concerns, kind of like offhandedly, and Gaeta's like, he's like, oh, are you sure? And Baltar's like, yeah, there'll be other graduations, and Gaeta's like, I'll just let the staff know, don't...
Well, because it's interesting, something we didn't mention was that in the conversation between Ty and the Chief, the Ty said, like, it's worth it if we can get Baltar. If Baltar's not there.
Oh, no, that's next, yeah. But yes.
Well, no, like, that is next, but, like, the setup, like, the notion of if Baltar's not there, we don't do this, was from the previous scene.
Yes. Well, Gaeta runs off because he's clearly we learn that he's the informant. He's going to go and tell them, like, hey, Baltar's not there. I know, shocker of all shocks.
Who could have guessed?
Yes. I'm glad that it wasn't held as like a reveal.
Yeah.
But yes, we do have a quick scene between Ty and the Chief where the chief is arguing, is like, hey, maybe we should call out the strike if Galactica is going to come back soon. And Ty's like, no, we're not passing up a chance to kill Baltar, and the only way we have a chance, for the Galactica to rescue us is if the Cylons are battling a full-blown insurgency when they get here. This could be like something that could help inspire that. And he basically says to the chief, if Baltar isn't going to be there, abort, otherwise stick with the plan. Gaeta is running like hell, but Chief gets there first, doesn't see the dog bull signal, and Gaeta gets there too late. To tell them. So we see Duck, as I said before, we alluded to before, is a suicide bomber. He is strapped with
I will say this, especially for the time this aired, making one of your good guys put on a suicide vest, like identifiably a suicide vest with like the C4 just strapped to his chest and sending him off to do something for the heroes. That was a ballsy ass thing to do at the time this came out. God damn.
On that note, I looked up because I remember this being very, very controversial at the time, obviously, and I found. Wait, I don't want to make sure I get the title without losing the spot that I was going to read here. A wonderful article by a very apolitical rag, I'm sure, that was titled "How Politics Destroyed a Great Show." And I just wanted to read a little bit of it. Thus, a show marked by gritty realism about how a decent but flawed civilization modeled on our own tries to cling to its decency while fighting an existential war against an implacable enemy veered wildly off course. The humans were no longer analogized to Americans. Rather, Americans were analogized to genocidal occupiers. In other words, we are no longer the inspiration for the futuristic Israelites trying to survive. We are now the Nazis. But this turnabout, left-wing writers suddenly fell in love with the show. Battlestar Galactica had morphed into a string allegorical critique of America's 3-year occupation of Iraq, cheered a writer in the liberal American Prospect. Spencer Ackerman, then an employee of the New Republic, wrote a piece for Slate titled Battlestar Iraqtica. Does the hit television show support the Iraqi insurgency? His unequivocal conclusion is, in unmistakable terms, Battlestar Galactica is telling viewers that insurgency, like, say, the one in Iraq, might have some moral flaw, such as the whole suicide bombing thing, but is ultimately victorious and worthy of support. Wow, that wow is celebratory. After the Iraq storyline, so it goes like that for a while, being like, oh fuck, they ruined this fucking show with their fucking politics.
It's almost as if all of this shit is old as hell.
Yep. Someone else wrote a critique of that essay because that's how I found it, because I was looking it up, and I just want to put like this, the person who wrote this, and I just want to say it. I was like, Goldman laments the human suicide bombers. This is talking about the article. The human suicide bombers are not young men brainwashed into a madrasa, apology if I screwed up that word, and promised eternal life with 72 virgins, nor are they threatened with the murders of their families, the tactics used by jihadists to create their human bombs. And this is back to the words of the person critiquing. In other words, they're not Muslim-y enough. Which I just thought was very funny. Yeah, it's like very clearly this writer is like, yeah, like how dare you make white people use suicide bombing tactics?
Only the bad brown people do that.
Yes, only the bad brown people blow themselves up. You know, we would never, because we're white. The reason I wanted to bring this up, because it is something that this show is doing, and I do actually really appreciate it for the time. But it was something that reminded me of a friend of, I don't know how much you know, but you know the Leftist Cooks, I'm assuming, Vera, right?
Yeah.
They did a really great video recently about like the ways Irish people have been stereotyped in different media, and like Ireland's complicity in like Irish people's sometimes complicity in that.
There are so many Irish bomber characters, it's not even funny.
Yes, exactly. And their point was that like the Irish are generally used as the good terrorist. It's like you can have it be the good terrorist if they're Irish, because they can be played as white people, as opposed to like having be Muslims or black people. They had this really great line, because there's a line in The Next Generation, and I'm saying they because Leftist Cooks is 2 people, I should say, just to be clear to everybody. But this really good line about Star Trek The Next Generation, where there's a line between Data and Picard, where Picard sort of justifies bombing, like terrorism, and Data relates it to the Irish. And they're talking about Ireland, and they said, like, that's a line that could be said by Data, not Geordi. And I'm like, yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
And also, if they're trying to justify it, of course they brought up the Irish. Not the many, 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 many other places where they use bombs to try and achieve some political goals. If you want to justify it, no, we only talk about the Irish.
Trans people are the terrorists, not the cis white men who predominantly do school shootings,
It's the brown people and the transes.
It's anyone who's not when it's a white guy, it's fine. They just have mental health issues. When it's anyone else, it's terrible.
Oh yeah, that's just lone wolves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just hundreds and hundreds of lone wolves. We don't know where they come from.
Yeah. So I will say that what I like about this show.
Welcome to the political hour.
Yeah. It comes with it. Territory of this show, especially this.
I know, but I just feel like this one's been especially.
Oh yeah. This is probably the most overtly, directly political storyline that this show does. It was definitely the most controversial. And yeah, this choice is the one that everyone kind of remembers is the suicide bombing. And I will say what I do appreciate about it, because it is to a degree doing the whole like, hey, white people can be the terrorists, but they're considering when this was written and using the very clear visuals of like, no, white people can do the same thing that like we're dehumanizing, people in Iraq and, Palestinians and other, Muslim folks doing. It's like, no, we can do the same thing. So yeah, I think there is a something to be very said about how strong of a statement that is with this. So
yeah, no, like I said, ballsy ass move for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a case where I don't need to have to do a lot to put myself like, oh, what would I have thought of at the time? I don't know what I personally would have thought of at the time, but I remember what the atmosphere was. I remember the temperature of the room at the time, and damn, man. That is poking one hell of an angry bear.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, sorry. I'm just looking more at this. There's one more here. I just want to say,
God.
No doubt the producers believe it. This is from the article, the asshole article. No doubt the producers believe it was all worth it for having the bravery to, quote unquote, quotes on bravery, to tackle the occupation of Iraq. The producers and lead actors were invited to a panel at the United Nations to dilate on the war on terror. It is hard to imagine that would have happened if the series had held to its original course. Again, the whole like, oh, look, they had something to say and actually had something to discuss. Oh, look how awful. It's just fucking, yeah. So this
should have been about Space America.
Yeah, and how I forgot this. Sorry, this is just, they start off the whole thing talking about how. This article is so funny. It's well worth a read. How, like, Star Wars... For decades, the established premise of Star Wars franchise was that the universe is divided into the dark side and the light side of the horse. Jedi Knights, champions of all that is noble and virtuous, were warned never to give even a little to the dark side lest they lose their souls. If all of this is not about absolutes, then what on earth is, or in the galaxy far, far away, is it for? And then Lucas went and threw it all away to get a dig at George W. Bush. It's just like... Yes, we just need it...
George Lucas threw away his franchise that from inception was about the guerrilla tactics using rebellion. You dipshit.
Yeah, I know. It's just so fucking funny. Conservatives having no media literacy is not anything new. It's just on speakerphone because of the internet. So
yeah, it's an evergreen topic. And look, we will never know if they lack media literacy legitimately or if it's willful ignorance. Functionally, it doesn't matter. It's exhausting either way.
It really, really is. But yes, it is there. Anyways, yes, Duck is a suicide bomber. Just to finish out the episode, there's a couple little tense moments that he's trying to go in. He's stopped by a Centurion for a quick second, but the Centurion lets him by. He's clearly a little bit nervous. There's the ceremonies going on. Diana is kind of running it. She gives a whole speech about, you're the future of humanity. You've taken a big risk showing up to here, but now you begin a new career in life as a police officer. Yay! Then she goes around congratulating everybody. Jammer is there. But then when she gets to Duck, Duck blows himself up. So,
yep.
And that is the end of the episode.
And we do see the body. We don't know if there were any survivors at all, but there sure was a hell of a lot of bodies.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. So, yep, people be dead. So, yep. All right, that is the end of the episode. Spoiler. I will do a spoiler minute. So for the next 60 seconds, if you do not want any spoilers, you can jump ahead 60 seconds, just like Vera's going to do in real time by giving me 60 seconds on the clock.
And go.
So there's just the big thing to talk about here is obviously Gaeta will get blamed in a few episodes as a collaborator, and obviously him having been the informant will play a big role, which I do like that story. I remember liking that storyline. Also Cavill, I've alluded to it a little bit too much probably, but Cavill very clearly espousing a lot of what Vera is going to say, where he is very frustrated at his parents, the original Final Five Cylons, with Ellen, being like, hey, I don't want to be human, I want to be a machine. So like the frustration that Vera is feeling is going to be a textual conversation thematically within the show, which I appreciate, because yes, I do agree with her, like the Cylons are way too human-like, but I do at least appreciate it does help that I know that is a textual conversation. There is this like, you made me like you and I didn't want to be like you, I want to be something new, move beyond, like how do we grow beyond this, is a textual conversation of the show of like ending the cycle of violence, which is a theme that I really like about the show. So that's all I will say.
Oh, you really like it.
There's a theme about the show that I like. All right, what did you think of the episode?
A little mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is definitely some good stuff in here. Like the I don't like Cavill fucking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it especially seems at odds when he's the one being like, we should be more like machines, and I'm like, then why are you trying to get your rocks off, dude?
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah.
It's almost as if he's a hypocrite.
We'll see if we go anywhere with that. But, the overall, the sexual violence towards women, again, I'm just sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it has no place within the narrative. I'm just goddamn fucking sick of it. So I have my frustrations with that. The fat suit thing can burn in hell for fucking eternity. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you told me there was a fat suit. I did not understand how hard and how repeatedly they were going to hit that. God damn.
Mm-hmm.
That was awful. But they're and like, I hate Leoben now, and I don't ever want to see him again, but I know I'm going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
But there is still some good stuff here and some interesting stuff, whether it's, sort of the tension between the Chief and Ty over what tactics are or aren't acceptable, whether it be like sort of Cavill and the Dorals and Caprica and Boomer sort of facing off and trying to decide what is the best tactics to move forward with. There is some interesting stuff here. There's some interesting stuff set up. There's some frustrations. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
I agree. I mean, some of the stuff I'm a little bit soft. Like, I don't necessarily disagree, but some of it I think a bit of it's like I came to terms with it. The fat suit stuff can go fuck right off. I hated it then, I hate it now. I hate it even more now, to be frank, now that I am more aware of it, of the problems with it. But I do remember at the time, I should also say this because we didn't talk about it, but like at the time I was an overweight kid. I usually overweight. I was a fat kid. And I did not like that interpretation. It did not help my mental health at the time. So, Yep.
It's almost like that shit's harmful.
Yes, it is. So that's some bullshit. Leoben stuff, I agree with 100%. But there is an element of it of like, I have bonded with Dr. Aaron over calling him the creeper. So I just find it kind of funny now to a little bit of a degree, just as a storyline thing, but it is awful. And yeah, I think on the sexual violence towards women, I am a little bit less upset about it in the sense that we've already talked about, but I do agree that like I think what it needed is just more of the woman's perspective on it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be curious. There's something I meant to do in spoiler minute, but I'll just say it here obliquely. There's gonna be a thing that's gonna come off of that I know what your reaction is going to be. Let me put it that way.
Oh, goody.
But we'll get there. But I do also really like all the interesting stuff. Like, I do think that this is some of where the show seemed to have the most it wanted to say and was actually saying in a way that annoyed the right people. So I do appreciate that. So, yeah. All righty. Anything else, Vera?
No, I think that's it.
All righty then. Stuff time.
Stuff. If you want to find my stuff, you can look for Council of Geeks. Patreon is what pays the bills. The main thing that funds is my YouTube channel. New videos every Saturday. I don't know what's coming out around the time this came out. My brain is scrambled. I'm done. I want to go to bed. But there's new videos every single Saturday. There's also the Break Room of Geeks, my secondary channel. By the time this comes out, I will probably start reviewing Has Been Hotel as the new episodes of that come out. And, whatever else I have watched, listened to, played, or read lately. You can also find Council of Geeks on Blue Sky. That's the geeky stuff. There is also the spicy stuff. Which you can find by looking for Vera Wild. Wild is spelled Wilde. There is no middle initial. Somebody has been stealing my name to try and sell their cheap erotica. I might be addressing that in a future video.
It was me.
But
it was me.
But
It was me. No, it wasn't me.
If you want the genuine article, you can find increasingly spicy content on YouTube, TikTok.
And you can find me at Jesse Gender on YouTube, where I do video essay style stuff. Definitely out already as of this recording is my video on why Star Trek Strange Worlds is a centrist space fantasy. Maybe out by the time you hear this will either be a video about why tech billionaires love Star Trek and why they don't understand it. Listen to that one for Vera's many headaches doing the reading for that one.
I commented, I think it might have been on your video about the third season of Strange New Worlds. I replied to somebody's comment about my readings. Like, one of these days, I'm gonna need quotes read, and I'm gonna find the worst statements, like the most infuriating statements possible. I'm gonna give them all to you as payback. Because I know you saved this shit for me.
Oh, no, it's more fun. It's way more fun. And the Star Trek, the Tech Billionaires one, you get a lot.
God damn, man.
But yeah, they're either that one or I am going to have a video out about the existential crisis of Ezra Klein. So enjoy that one. Yeah, it's about it's not only about it's about his podcast, but mainly his two conversations with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Sarah McBride. Those two podcasts, so those are the predominant ones. So That'll be a fun video. The failures of liberalism is basically what that is. So check those out. Those will be out relatively soon, if not already out in some capacity, either there or on my Patreon, which helps me pay my bills and get videos early, where some of those are already out right now. You can get that. There's also Nebula, the streaming service that houses my movie Identities, and will also house the show Subliminal, which I directed an episode of that will be out later on next year. And I am on Blue Sky. I am on Instagram. There's one more. Secondary channel, Jesse Gender After Dark, where I do news, reviews, reactions, that sort of stuff. I will probably be reviewing the Dairy Welcome to Dairy show, because there's not much else going on. Not particularly a huge fan of it, but it is something to discuss. So there we go. And that'll be it. Anything else, Vera?
Nah.
All right. With all that said, I hope y'all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.